tonight, Zach Goslin, a data analyst from Washington, D.C. in his category AEW, All Elite Wrestling. Jessica Stevens, a statistical research specialist, her category 1990s sketch comedy. Jacob Sackleben, a roller coaster ride operator, his specialist subject, The Price is Right, 1972 to 2007. And Corey Anatato, a professional from Baltimore, Maryland, his category, Season 1 of Teen Mom 2, Jesus Christ! Today is June 4th, 2023. Welcome to the 24-hour game show marathon. We're playing Mastermind. My name is Christian Carey, and this is a game that we look forward to every year. We have 4 contestants. Each of them, before the game, have chosen a specialist subject about which they have a specially written set of questions. The first round, each contestant will have 2 minutes on that specialist subject of their choice. Second round involves 2.5 minutes of general knowledge, and the player with the highest score at the end of 2 rounds will be crowned 2003's Game Show Marathon Mastermind. With that said, may we have our first competitor, please? Your name?
Zach Goslin.
Your occupation?
Data analyst.
And your specialist subject?
All Elite Wrestling.
2 minutes on AEW, All Elite Wrestling. And your time, Zach, starts now. Who is the masked gimmick Infinito on Dark and Elevation revealed to be after fans cross-reference images of their hands and discovered identical veins?
Bryan Danielson.
That's correct. In an August 2020 episode of AEW Dynamite, Ricky Starks, dressed as Darby Allin, referenced a popular meme where a little boy dressed as a skeleton famously said what 3-word phrase?
I like turtles.
Correct. The broadcast of AEW Dynamite moved from TNT to TBS in January 2022 as a consequence of TNT gaining partial broadcast rights to what sports league, which made AEW programming prone to preemption or delay?
The NHL?
Correct. Which championship did Pac hold in his home promotion, Dragon Gate, during the time of the canceled match at Double or Nothing 2019?
Open the Dragon Gate.
Open the Dreamgate Championship. A white guy talking about race relations who has an American flag tattoo on his neck, I can see why people would use the term tone deaf when it came to that. This is a quote from an interview with Cody Rhodes in which he expresses regret over his feud with what other wrestler?
Anthony Ogogo?
Correct. The ending of what 2020 special where Don Callis announced on behalf of a newly crowned Kenny Omega that he will celebrate his world championship win on the next episode of Impact Wrestling show Impact managed to crash Impact's website for several minutes?
Winter is Coming.
Correct. Winter is Coming 2020. The announcement of a shirt commemorating Who, with all proceeds going to his family, also crashed pro wrestling tees for several minutes. The shirt would quickly become the site's best-selling design for 2020, despite being released less than 2 days before the end of the year.
Mr. Brody Lee.
That's correct. A tragic condominium collapse which occurred in Miami in June of 2021 is believed to be the reason behind the postponement of the coffin match between Darby Allin and Who?
Ethan Page?
Ethan Page is correct. In addition to his wrestling career as the Butcher in AEW, Andy Williams showcases his musical talents as the guitarist for which popular punk rock band?
As I Lay Dying?
Every Time I Die. Name and year, please. At which event, I've started so I'll finish. Name and year, please. At which event was the match between Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley originally scheduled to take place before Moxley's elbow injury forced him to withdraw?
All Out 2019.
Both correct. Very good. So you end this round with 8 points. You don't have any passes. Your score at the end of round 1 is 8. Thank you very much.
Okay. I did not know I could pass, so that works out.
I would also like to know why he showed his titties to the camera. May we have our next competitor, please? Your name?
Jessica Stevens.
And your occupation?
I am a statistical research specialist.
And your specialist subject?
1990s sketch comedy.
2 minutes on sketch comedy of the 1990s. And your time, Jessica, starts now. Created as a parody of a 1950s TV series starring Renzo Cesana, what character first appeared on the January 20th, 1990 episode of Saturday Night Live? He was played by Christopher Walken as a supposedly suave ladies' man who reveals himself to be a creep who cannot correctly pronounce the word champagne.
The Continental.
Correct. The titular star of what 1996 ABC primetime sketch comedy show blamed the show's poor reception and eventual cancellation on the jarring tonal shift between the show's lead-in, Home Improvement, and the show's first sketch featuring a lactating Bill Clinton breastfeeding puppies?
The Dana Carvey Show.
Correct. Burns was the appropriate last name of what in living color character portrayed by Jim Carrey, known for the catchphrase, "Let me show you something," and for great bodily harm befalling him in each sketch. He was the only character to appear consistently throughout all 5 seasons of the show.
Firefighter Bill?
Fire Marshal Bill. On Kids in the Hall, a recurring character played by Mark McKinney has the name Mr. Tizik, but is much better known by his use of what 4-word phrase often said during a forced perspective camera shot with McKinney's index finger and thumb in the foreground.
I crushed your little head.
I'm crushing your head. What 1994 film based on a character from Saturday Night Live is one of the few films to be rated at 0% on Rotten Tomatoes and earned just over $60,000 at the box office? Julia Sweeney, who played the title character, joked in a 2019 one-woman show that she might have been the Al Jolson of androgyny.
It's Pat.
Correct. Featuring musical performances from artists Gary Morris, Hal Ketchum, and the Sweethearts of the Rodeo, what long-running comedy show aired its 655th and final episode on May 30th, 1992?
Howdy Doody?
Hee Haw. A running gag during the tenure of Norm Macdonald as host of Saturday Night Live's Weekend Update saw Macdonald blame calamities such as an increased unemployment, toxic waste in Los Angeles, and the mass death of fish in Maryland on, you guessed it, what actor, musician, and celebrity brother?
O.J. Simpson.
Frank Stallone. Each episode of what HBO series, which ran from 1996 through 1999, I've started so I'll finish, featured sketches centered on a single topic which served as the title of each episode and featured a regular cast of 18 characters, all played by Tracy Ullman.
Mr. Show.
Tracy Takes On was the name of that show. At the end of this round of competition, you leave the black chair with 3 points. As a quick reminder, we are still taking donations for Child's Play, a charity focused on play-centric gaming therapy for children in hospitals across the country that do incredible work. GameShowMarathon.com is the website where you can watch the show, learn about the games we're playing from now until 12 noon tomorrow, and make your donation until 12 noon tomorrow and even beyond. GameShowMarathon.com, again, is that website. That being said, may we have our next competitor, please?
They had to hold a big-ass sign that says no to tell me to stop.
I did see that.
You can tell this is going to be good.
That did not go unnoticed.
Yeah.
Your name,
Jacob Sackleman,
your occupation,
roller coaster ride operator.
and your specialist subject.
The Price is Right, 1972 to 2007.
35 years of The Price is Right in 2 minutes. Your time starts now. The third taped episode of The New Price is Right in 1972 had to be scrapped after a contestant was found to be ineligible after taping had concluded. What was the nature of this contestant's relationship to a network employee that made the contestant ineligible?
She was in a common law marriage with a cameraman.
That's correct. What was the first pricing game to debut after the word new had been dropped from the show's title in 1973?
Temptation.
Lucky 7. A 1957 recording of On the Francis Mountains by the Jura Orchestra has been in use on The Price is Right since 1976 as the song the mountain climber sings as he ascends the mountain in Cliffhangers. What song, taken from a 1937 film, was used in the same role before on the Francis Mountains?
Pass.
CBS's coverage of what event caused 3 half-hour episodes of The Price is Right from the 1970s to be rerun in 1998, 2000, and 2002?
Pillsbury Bake Off.
Correct. Although 2 other pricing games have since debuted that would qualify, what is the only pricing game present on The Price is Right between 1972 and 2007 that does not involve any models?
High-low.
Grand Game. Which company syndicated the original Nighttime Price is Right, initially hosted by Dennis James? The company was originally founded as CBS Television Film Sales in 1952 by Ralph Barucci.
Viacom.
Correct. The host of the original Price is Right from 1956 to 1965, Bill Cullen made a cameo appearance in 1983 to plug which other Mark Goodson production, which was airing on CBS at the time, but was canceled by September of that year.
Child's Play.
Correct. As cars began to increase in value to more than $10,000 in price in the 1980s, several pricing games had their name and rules temporarily changed on an individual playing basis depending on the value. To that end, what three pricing games had the words Big, Plus, and Deluxe added to their names respectively?
Money Game. Dice Game. Three Strikes.
That's correct. I should have started another question, so I'm going to give you one more. What tabletop game featured in a memorable moment between host Bob Barker and model Janice Pennington during an otherwise unremarkable playing of the pricing game Pathfinder in November 1993?
Crocodile Dentist.
That's correct. Travel Crocodile
Travel
Dentist, to be
Crocodile
specific. You had two passes. A 1957 recording, one pass. A 1957 recording of On the Francis Mountain served as the song the mountain climber sings as he ascends the mountain in cliffhangers. What song taken from a 1937 film was used in this same role before that song was the silly song from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. So at the end of this round of competition for you, Jacob, you leave the black chair with 6 points. Thank you very much. And may we have our final competitor, please?
Where do I write my name on the chalkboard so that you guess my line?
I am in no mood for jokes with you. Every year, I pray for the destruction of this category. And every year, by the grace of God, you disappoint me. What's your fucking name?
Corey Adetato.
2 minutes starts now. In the debut episode of Teen Mom 2, Kaylin recaps the relationship with her allegedly controlling baby daddy Joe. A heated argument between the two concerns Caitlin's dependency on Joe's what?
Car.
Correct. Where are Chelsea and Aubrey in episode 4 when Chelsea's dad Randy calls to see where she is? She tells him she's at this place, but not with Aubrey, as she isn't ready to tell him that she and Adam are back together.
The zoo.
Correct. What type of paperwork is Janelle desperate for her mother to sign before a threat of a police call if Janelle does not leave the house immediately? Earlier in episode 5, Janelle gets the wrong version of this paperwork.
It's a 1040 IRS form for...
Financial aid document,
Yeah.
I'll give it to you. Corey and Leah become closer following concerns for Allie's health. To take their mind off this hardship, the two go on a date at what type of business, after which they become boyfriend and girlfriend again?
a bowling alley.
Correct. Kaylin meets her mother Susie at the Nazareth Diner to reveal her breakup with Joe. As baby Isaac is seated, what does Susie offer from the table as a toy, claiming it's not like he can swallow it?
A fork?
Jelly packet. Amid the battle for custody of Jace between Janelle and her mother, Janelle's lawyer consultation brought up several responsibilities, perhaps the most important involving Janelle stopping what vice?
Smoking weed.
Smoking marijuana, right. After a surprise fishing trip in episode 7, Leah calls her mother to announce her engagement to Corey. Throughout these events, Leah is wearing a pink t-shirt sporting the logo of what lifestyle brand?
Pass.
Before he is allowed to move in with her, Chelsea presents Adam with a checklist. Among the items on said list is a promise to make an effort to get along with which friend of Chelsea's who also helped her draft this ultimatum?
Oh, what's her name? I want to say it's Heather.
It is Megan. About what does Kaylin's mom, Susie, say is, quote, one of the most difficult things you'll have to do. I know, I've been there, done it. This advice comes during talks with Kaylin finding a new living situation without Joe.
Being single?
Being a single parent, correct. Very good. You had one pass. After a surprise fishing trip in episode 7, Leah calls her mother to announce her engagement to Corey. Throughout these events, Leah is wearing a pink t-shirt sporting the logo of Bass Pro Shops. There you go. Corey, you leave the black chair with 6 points. Thank you very much.
I'll take my jersey picture.
At the end of round 1, we have a leader. Zach with 8 points. Corey and J-Sack tied with 6. Jessica in fourth place with 3 points. Round 2 is 2.5 minutes of general knowledge for each player, and we'll be back with round 2 of Mastermind, part of the 24-hour game show marathon, right after these messages.
The 24-hour game show marathon is brought to you by Wise Markets. Founded in 1912, Wise Markets is your neighborhood grocery store. With stores in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, and beyond, you're sure to find fresh local food and more at Wise. Eat better, spend less. That's Wise.
Perfect. Josh and I learned that Joe was such a piece of shit, by the way. Wow. What a jerk.
He's so controlling for no reason.
Yeah, it's really terrible.
I really hate it when his parents turned on what's her face. I mean, I understand because like they got to protect their son and that, but it's just,
It's a bad situation all
Yeah.
around.
I know.
And I would love your thoughts on Kiefer.
Kiefer?
Kiefer seems like a sweetheart, to be honest with you. I don't know if I watched enough to...
You did.
No, did I not?
We'll do season 2 next year. You'll find out more.
I can't wait. Welcome back. Welcome back to Mastermind, part of the 24-hour game show marathon. At the end of round 1 involving our contestant specialist subjects, Zach is in the lead with 8 points. Corey and J-Sac are tied with 6. Jessica in fourth place with 3. Round 2 consists of 2.5 minutes for each player regarding general knowledge. And the winner at the end of this round will be crowned this year's Mastermind. So we will start with the player in last place. Right now, that is Jessica. Take the chair, please. Jessica, was there a show that got you into sketch comedy of the 90s? When you think about that era, was there one show that sticks out?
I just really loved The State and Mr. Show, which you could have had more of in that round, but that's all right. Yeah, I think that those were shows that really got me interested in. Oh, I'm sorry.
Can the crew be quiet, please?
No, I think The State, part of why I really enjoyed it is that it was on when I was a little kid, and so to watch it as an adult and remember watching it when I wasn't supposed to is just,
Right.
you know, I get to feel like rebellious, and so I think I enjoy it for that reason. A lot of those are shows I shouldn't watch.
And it's also very rare that shows like that hold up from your previous view of them.
Yeah.
And Mr. Show in particular is very underrated.
Yes.
You have 3 points. 2.5 minutes of general knowledge is what's coming up for you. Are you ready?
Yes.
Perfect. Then your time, Jessica, starts now. In 2018, after 17 days, 12 boys and their soccer coach were rescued from an underwater cave in which country?
Thailand.
That's correct. Made with coarsely chopped ingredients, what French meatloaf can be made with fish, vegetables, or meat and is served sliced?
Niçoise.
Turin. In a 1975 film, Jaws terrorized residents of which New England community?
Amity Bay.
Amity Island. The 5 remaining species of what animal are at great risk of extinction, with fewer than 100 left of the Javan and Sumatran types?
Orangutans.
Rhinoceros. In Chinese American cuisine, what dish with a 4-word Cantonese name combines chicken, button mushrooms, and vegetables in a mild white sauce?
Mugu Gai Pan.
Correct. What Greek philosopher is credited with the following quote? It is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it.
Plato.
Aristotle. Also the name for 1,000th of a cent, the American Industrial Revolution is said to have begun when Sam Slater opened the first what in 1790?
Pass.
A space containing mostly domestic animals for interaction with children is called a what?
Petting zoo.
Correct. Sharing its name with a 1977 Billy Joel ballad, in which city did Mozart, Beethoven, Schubert, and Brahms spend their mature careers?
Vienna.
Correct. In the breakfast dish known as Adam and Eve on a raft, Adam and Eve are eggs. What food item serves as the raft?
Toast.
Correct. Commonly classified by speed and direction, what results when air moves from higher pressure areas to lower pressure areas?
Wind.
Correct. With a prefix from the Greek for all-inclusive, which word or phrase describes the belief that rejects God as a personality and instead identifies God with the universe?
Pantheism.
Correct. In 1508, Pope Julius II pulled which artist away from his preferred medium of sculpting and commissioned him to paint the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel?
Michelangelo.
Correct. In Washington, D.C., a 9-meter menorah is lit for each of Hanukkah's 8 nights. Where is this menorah located?
The Holocaust Memorial Museum.
In front of the White House. Insects' bodies are split into 3 sections: the head, the abdomen, and what other section, which gets its name from the Latin for breastplate?
Thorax.
Correct. The 2005 film March of the Penguins featured which type of penguins, which meet their mates only once a year, sometimes traveling up to 70 miles for their reunion breeding?
Emperor.
That's correct. At a Latin restaurant, what type of meat are you requesting if you order pollo?
Chicken.
Correct. The Great Fire of 1910, considered the largest single fire in U.S. history, covered a bit of Canada and hit Idaho, Washington, and which other state with a name, I've started so I'll finish, and which other state with a name derived from the Spanish for mountainous country?
Montana.
Montana is correct. You had 1 pass. Also, the name for 1,000th of a cent, the American Industrial Revolution, is said to have begun when Sam Slater opened the first mill in 1790. Mill was the answer to that. So at the end of your competition, Jessica, you leave the black chair with a respectable 15 points. Thank you. JSAC and Corey were tied for second place at the end of round 1. I'll start with the player closest to me. That is Mr. Jacob Sackelben. Approach the chair, my friend.
We just got a donation.
Nice. Thank you.
Donation received.
And silenced it so you guys wouldn't be distracted.
Good. Jacob, off the top of your head, what are the 3 worst pricing games?
3 worst pricing games? Well,
Yes.
personally, I'm not going to say Professor Price because I kind of cared for it. But
What was Professor Price?
So Professor Price was a pricing game in which there was no real pricing knowledge. They asked you a trivia question that had a response that was either for a digit from 0 to 9, and then you had to say if you gave that correct response, then you had to say if that response was in the price of a automobile. And if you gave 3 correct responses, whether 3 trivia responses or 3 pricing responses, you won the car, and if you gave 3 incorrect responses, you lost the car. They played it twice, it was won twice, and then it was quickly put into a CBS dumpster.
I seem to remember that there's also the part of the prop was an animatronic teacher with like a
Yes.
Gabe Kaplan handlebar mustache.
Very creepy animatronic type thing that could only shake its head yes or shake its head no.
I think we've heard enough. Okay. Jacob, you have 6 points at the moment, 2.5 minutes of general knowledge coming your way. Are you ready? Comfortable?
No.
Okay. That's what we want.
Okay.
Your time, Jacob, starts now. Though American naval men and women at his rank wear 4 bars on their sleeves, what cereal mascot has never been seen wearing more than 3?
Captain Crunch.
Correct. In mythology, what is the child of a god and a mortal called?
Demigod.
Correct. What starch comprises the bubbles in a traditional bubble tea?
Rice.
Tapioca. Once a student of Max Weber, which Latvian-born American abstract artist experimented with several methods before landing on his signature color field style of painting?
Pollock.
Mark Rothko. In 2010, which country surpassed Japan to become the world's 2nd largest economy?
India.
China. Beef on weck, a roast beef sandwich hailing from western New York, is served on a kummelweck roll, which is topped with caraway seeds and what mineral?
Pass.
A staple of the high school literary curriculum, what novel by Chinua Achebe examines pre-colonial and colonial life in southeastern Nigeria?
Pass.
During Prohibition, wineries were aided in survival if they could secure a permit to make wine for which establishments?
Medical establishments?
Churches. In Joyce Kilmer's poem, the speaker laments, "I think that I shall never see a poem lovely as a what?"
Flower.
Tree. In Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Harry and his friends must save the Sorcerer's Stone, which possesses the power to make its owner what?
Immortal?
Correct. Also following the word Pocari in the name of a popular clear Japanese soft drink, what is the name of Lynn Nottage's 2017 Pulitzer Prize-winning working class drama based on research and interviews with citizens of Reading, Pennsylvania?
Pass.
An enormous sandwich filled with various meats and cheeses is named for what cartoon strip character with the surname Bumstead?
Dagwood.
Correct. In a 2006 film, an FBI agent faces which deadly creatures on a Los Angeles-bound flight?
Snakes.
Correct. The Voyage of the Beagle is the name commonly given to the journals of which scientist who also wrote on the origin of species?
Pavlov.
Charles Darwin. Beers that use yeast that ferment at the top are called ales. What are beers that use yeast that ferment at the bottom called?
Lagers.
Correct. For 5 seasons, the Discovery Channel has produced which series named for people in pursuit of severe weather?
Storm Chasers.
Correct. The assassination of Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary triggered the start. I've started, so I'll finish. The assassination of Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary triggered the start of World War I. What title did Franz Ferdinand carry?
Duke.
Archduke. Archduke. You had 3 passes. Beef on weck, a sandwich hailing from Western New York, is roast beef on a kummelweck roll topped with caraway seeds and what mineral? That was salt. A staple of the high school literary curriculum, what novel by Chinua Achebe examines pre-colonial and colonial life in southeastern Nigeria? That was Things Fall Apart. Also following the word Pocari in the name of a popular clear Japanese soft drink, the name of Lynn Nonage's 2017 Pulitzer Prize-winning working class drama based on research and interview with citizens of Reading, Pennsylvania is called Sweat. Sweat was the answer to that. At the end of this round of competition and the game for you, my friend, you leave the black chair with 13 points. Thank you. At the end of round 1, Jacob Sackelman's tie was shared with Corey Anatato. Corey, would you approach the chair, please? And sit.
In America.
We make a lot of jokes about writing questions for Teen Mom, but there is something beneficial to the bonding quality of shows like that, isn't there? Because it's more fun to watch with a partner.
Yeah, I mean, me and my wife watch Teen Mom 2. We watch all those a lot, and it's nice to just wallow in the Velveeta of a bunch of people making stupid decisions,
Sure.
because we can share and we can laugh and we can joke, and all the while these people are getting into a lot of stupid drama.
Well, I also think that, and the marathon proves this to a certain degree, not every show has to be intellectual,
Yeah.
like, you know, have to have all the minerals. It's good to have some junk food once in a
Yeah,
while.
it doesn't always have to be Severance or White Lotus. You know, you can enjoy junk food.
Right.
It's there because it's good, it's tasty, and it's easy.
Sure. I understand 100%. General knowledge, 2.5 minutes.
No.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. No, we're going to do this. 2.5 minutes on general knowledge. Your time, Corey, starts right about now. The film Barry offers a glimpse of Barack Obama during his college years at which university?
University of Chicago.
Columbia.
You know.
Ujima, Nia, and Kumba are among the principles of which holiday created in 1966 and based on African harvest festival traditions?
Kwanzaa.
Correct. Inserting the word before between whose first and last name results in the title of a 2017 Netflix stand-up comedy film?
Jerry Seinfeld.
Jerry before Seinfeld. What word for a flat-bottomed boat or hollow metal cylinder used with others to support a temporary bridge is also the name of a card game, referred to by some as the British domestic equivalent of blackjack?
Pass.
Often topped and layered with sweetened cream cheese, what popular confection takes its name from a high-sugar vegetable which found its way into many desserts when sweeteners were scarce?
Pass.
The Cossack is a boisterous, mostly improvised dance originating in which Eastern European country?
Russia.
The Ukraine. As feminism took hold in the mid-20th century, Simone de Beauvoir's book became a defining tome for the movement. The book's title was The Second What?
Revolution.
Sex, the second sex. In music, is a minuet a song, a dance, or a measurement of time?
A dance.
Correct. The first line and the title of Dylan Thomas's most famous work are "Do not go gentle into that what?"
That night. Summer night. Gentle night.
Good night. Which classic Italian dessert mixes egg yolk, mascarpone, cocoa, and liquor in a layered cake?
Tiramisu.
Correct. What six-letter word refers to an object offered in fulfillment of a vow, such as a candle?
Pass.
Anthony Burgess said that the title of which novel, adapted to film by director Stanley Kubrick in 1971, implies the junction of the organic and the mechanical?
One flew over the cuckoo's nest.
A Clockwork Orange. Shit. First used in 2009, which two-word term describes the increasingly freelance nature of the workforce?
The gig economy.
That's correct. The Oscar-nominated film adaptation of which 2003 Khaled Hosseini novel drew controversy that led to death threats for its young Afghan actors?
The Kite Runner.
That's correct. In a book called The World Without Us, Alan Weisman speculates that in our absence, the longest-lasting human artifacts... I've started, so I'll finish. I'm going to start the question again. In a book called The World Without Us, Alan Weisman speculates that in our absence, the longest-lasting human artifacts would be radioactivity, plastic, bronze, and which national memorial found in the Black Hills of South Dakota?
Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore is correct. You had 3 passes. What word for a flat-bottomed boat or hollow metal cylinder used with others to support a temporary bridge? Also the name of a card game referred to by some as the British domestic equivalent of blackjack. That was pontoon. Often topped and layered with sweetened cream cheese. What popular confection takes its name from a high-sugar vegetable which found its way into many desserts when sweeteners were scarce? That was carrot cake.
Oh.
And what 6-letter word refers to an object offered in fulfillment of a vow, such as a candle? It's a votive. Votive candle. Yep.
Cool.
So at the end of this round of competition for you, you are tied with Jacob at 13 points.
Sweet. Can't go.
Yeah, you can go now.
Cool.
You can go. Get off the safe, sweetheart.
And I'm not. I can't win, right?
Nah, you want to go get something to drink, you can.
Okay, cool. Have a great night, everyone.
All right.
Good luck, Zach.
Night, night. Our leader going into round 1 was Zach with 8 points. It is now his turn to face the chair for general knowledge. Please approach the chair, my friend. What does AEW do that WWE does not?
Sometimes they are very similar. The whole appeal of AEW was that Vince McMahon had creative control of WWE for a very long time. There are a lot of stories of his ideas being insane, or his perception of the world, or the fans being not what they are anymore. And so AEW just created an alternative for the first time in a while. The most mythologized era of wrestling was the Attitude Era, when there was WCW, there was a competition. And so just AEW existing is good for wrestling, good for the wrestlers, because they have places to go that pay decent money. Sure. And yeah, just more wrestling is good.
Yeah, from the research that I did in preparation for the game, one of the things that I noticed was it seemed like a sort of return to form for wrestling in general. Is that accurate?
I would say it was a return to it's very difficult for me to draw like a line between like what did they do, because over time the rosters have blended, it's similar guys. AEW for a while was a lot better about establishing certain styles and having much more of a clear variety of flippy matches and big guys and this sort of thing, in a way that WWE got very samey. Is that the case today? Maybe a little bit. It's definitely gotten a little bit more Pepsi Coke, I would say.
Sure. Your knowledge of it was impressive. I hope your knowledge of general trivia is as impressive.
I hope so too.
2.5 minutes. Let me just get my mark here. Wonderful. And your time, Zach. And by the way, you will need 8 points to secure the victory. After 8 points, I'll still ask you some questions if that's okay.
Sure.
Perfect. All right. 2.5 minutes. Your time, Zach, starts now. The scale for measuring wind speeds from calm to hurricane force is named for which Royal Navy officer who devised it in 1805?
Doppler?
Beaufort, the Beaufort scale. Christopher Robin Milne loved to visit a bear given to the London Zoo by a Canadian lieutenant who named the bear after his home city, which was where?
Winnipeg?
Winnipeg, Winnie the Pooh. Washington State's SeaTac Mall was the first to house which food court favorite and serve up its sweet and sticky classic?
Cinnabon?
Correct. A dish consisting of warm rice topped with blanched vegetables, spicy chili paste, meat, and egg. Bibimbap originates from which country?
South Korea.
Correct. Children's show host Fred Rogers reportedly aimed to keep his weight at how many pounds as a reference to the numbers of letters in the words I love you?
170?
143. Native to the Mediterranean, which cabbage cousin was called Italian asparagus when it was first introduced to England, and whose name can also be found preceding the word Rob?
Broccoli.
Correct. What type of farm animal is the title character in Babe, who is raised by sheepdogs and learns to herd sheep?
Pig.
Correct. Taking 2 letters away from the name of a certain needle-nosed tool forms what French word for a style of ballet that focuses mainly on the bending of the knees?
Plie.
Correct. Which Middle Eastern country grows the largest amount of illicit opium poppies?
Afghanistan.
Correct. Name for the Vietnamese word for bread. What type of sandwich is a baguette stuffed with savory ingredients?
Banh mi.
Correct. What musician who died in 2012 traveled from India to play the sitar to a mesmerized crowd at the original Woodstock Festival?
Ravi Shankar.
Correct. What 2007 American comedy drama about childcare in New York City was based on the 2002 novel of the same name and starred Scarlett Johansson, Chris Evans, and Laura Linney?
Pass.
You won, and I ran out of questions. Zach, everybody! Zach! With a score of 17 points, Zach is this year's Game Show Marathon Mastermind. One more round of applause for a wonderful performance. All right, the pressure's off. The timer's going to end in a minute. Would anyone like the rest of their specialist questions while we have a few minutes? J-Sac?
Give it to him.
Okay.
What
I have everyone's.
was the Laura Linney movie, by the way?
Oh, The Nanny Diaries.
Oh,
The
of
Nanny
course.
Diaries,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yep. Okay, J-Sac, you were on The Price is Right. Let's get to where we were. Oh, you don't have to sit in the chair. It's all right.
I'm
You can
sitting in the
sit.
chair. I'm
You
getting
know what?
old.
It's casual. You can put one leg up.
Yeah, I was just.
Cool. There you go. Yeah.
And,
All right. Let's see.
I'm facing the wrong way.
All right.
I gotta put the mic on.
Jacob, episode number 0724K, airing in April 1998, is notable for the same reason as episode number 1315D, airing in March 1975. What is the shared reason for these episodes' notoriety?
Jesus. Repeat the question. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, episode 0724K, airing in April 1998, is notable for the same reason as episode number 1315D, airing in March 1975. What is the shared reason for these episodes' notoriety?
It is a milestone episode ending in 1,000.
No.
No?
Every pricing game was played for a car. Yeah. Although it was always advertised as having a top prize of $10,000, with a series of lucky punches, how much could a contestant theoretically have won in the pricing game Punch-a-Bunch after its regular rules debuted in January 1979?
$10,850.
$10,900. Give the first names of any 2 of the 3 models who featured on the syndicated New Price is Right from 1994 with Doug Davidson.
Ferrari and
Lori?
Ferrari Ferris, Lisa Stahl, and
Lisa.
Julie Cellini.
Lisa and Julie.
What was the final pricing game to be retired during Bob Barker's tenure as host of The Price is Right, with its last playing on the show airing about a month before Barker retired in June 2007?
That would be Poker Game.
That's Poker Game, yeah. I'll give you one more. Let's see. When pinch hosting for an ailing Bob Barker for a week in December 1974, Dennis James hosted, for the only time, a pricing game which was never used during his tenure on the nighttime Price is Right. What game was it?
Shell Game?
No, High-Low. High-Low, that was it. And we'll go to the, got a request to go to the
we
last
gotta
one
get the
here.
hard one in here.
Which notable contestant was called down 4th on episode number 4003K, making their way up on stage in the 5th act of the show?
Is that you?
It is me. Here, this is your souvenir,
Oh
my
my
friend.
God.
Thank you so much. There you are. Thank you. I'm going to give everyone else theirs too. This is your. What? Oh, did I pop? Here, come get it. I'm plugged in. There are your questions there. There are your comedy questions as well. Enjoy those. My name is Christian Carey, and that was Mastermind, part of the 24-hour game show marathon. Match game with me again. It's coming up in just a few minutes. Stay right there.